The day I became the villain in my own story didn't hit me all at once. The truth crept in slowly, like frost crawling across a windowpane, delicate at first, until it turned everything cold and unrecognizable. I wasn't just a supporting character in someone else's tragedy. Somewhere along the way, I had become the architect of my own downfall, the villain in a life I once thought was a love story. Whenever I think back to how it all began, it's his eyes I remember first. Mason had eyes that didn't just look. They listened. Deep-set, steady, and warm, they carried no judgment, no suspicion. Just unwavering belief. He made me feel like something rare, cherished, even when I didn't believe I deserved it. Broke that. And I broke him with it. We met during our university years, in the blur of coffee-stained textbooks and crowded lecture halls. Mason was a senior in architecture, always scribbling blueprints on scraps of paper or tinkering with miniature models dusted in foam and wood shavings. His brown hair was always a mess, and he smelled faintly of cedar and graphite. I was studying psychology, drawn to the messiness of human emotions, fascinated by why people choose what they choose. But Mason was the one thing I couldn't quite figure out, a paradox of quiet strength and boundless patience. He never tried to fix me, and maybe that's why I gravitated to him. My childhood was far from gentle. I grew up in a house where love came laced with manipulation, where affection had a timer, and apologies never came. Trust, to me, was a myth, something I read about in novels but never truly witnessed. But Mason didn't flinch when I peeled back the layers. He didn't pull away when I told him about my past. He just listened, then held me like the broken pieces were worth something. He wrote notes for me. Small, quiet affirmations tucked into lunch bags or left beside my toothbrush. "You're not broken," one said. "You're becoming." 2 years in, we moved in together. Our apartment was small, but it overflowed with laughter, mismatched furniture, and shared dreams. Mason would cook breakfast every Sunday. I'd dance barefoot in the kitchen while he hummed Sinatra. We made plans for the future, not in dramatic declarations, but in shared grocery lists and whispered conversations in bed. And then it began to unravel, not all at once but thread by thread. It started with a man named Leo. He was a consultant brought in to assist on a high-stakes marketing project at my firm. Leo was charming in a way that was almost cinematic, all-knowing smiles, effortless confidence, and compliments so casual they didn't feel intrusive. He noticed things. The bracelet I wore, the way I furrowed my brow when I was deep in thought. First it felt harmless. I even joked about him to Mason, told him how exhausting Leo was, how he never stopped talking. Mason would just laugh and ask how the campaign was going. But as deadlines grew tighter, so did the proximity. Late nights blurred into shared meals at the office. Leo's wit made me laugh when I felt overwhelmed. His glances lingered just a beat too long. I should have stepped away. I should have asked to change teams. But I didn't. The night it all began to truly fracture, it was raining. We had just landed a major client. Spirits were high. Leo walked me to my car, umbrella forgotten as rain soaked through our clothes. He paused, eyes locked on mine, and said, "You do know you're captivating, right?" And then he kissed me. It wasn't a long kiss. Pulled away, panicked. I told him I was with someone who mattered. He apologized, said it was a mistake. But the real betrayal wasn't the kiss. It was the part of me that didn't hate it. That was the moment I should have told Mason. But instead I drove home, kissed him softly, then cried in the shower with the water turned as hot as I could stand. What followed was a slow-motion disaster. I kept Leo's secret and buried my guilt. But secrets rot from the inside. I grew restless. Snapped at Mason for trivial things. Laundry left unfolded, missed texts, silence at the dinner table. I turned away from him in bed, staring into the dark, ashamed. He noticed. Of course he did. He asked me one evening gently, "Are you okay? Is there someone else?" I lied. I said I was just tired. Work was hard. Life was a blur. He believed me. Or maybe he wanted to. Then came the conference. Out of town, 3 nights, too many drinks, and too many bad decisions. I ended up in Leo's room. There's no romanticizing it. It wasn't love. It was a hollow, reckless act. I felt disgusted before we'd even finished. Back in my hotel bed, I imagined Mason's face. The softness in his smile, the way he always poured my tea just the way I liked it, and I wanted to vanish. I swore it would be the only time. A shameful memory I'd bury and never revisit. But shame doesn't stay buried. It festers. I became someone I didn't recognize. Cold. Unreachable. I avoided Mason's gaze, flinched at his touch. Every reminder of his kindness felt like a knife twisting in my gut. Still, he didn't yell. He didn't accuse. He just watched me slip away. Then one morning he brought me breakfast. Blueberry pancakes, my favorite. I sat across from him, my appetite gone, my soul unraveling. And then he said softly, "I don't know who you're protecting by pretending everything's fine. But it's not saving us." Broke. Right there at the table. I told him everything. A kiss. The hotel. The truth. Every ugly, painful piece of it. He didn't scream. Didn't throw anything. He just sat there. The silence between us was unbearable. That night he slept on the couch. And the night after. And the one after that. A week later, he came into our room and sat at the edge of the bed. I thought maybe he was ready to fight for us. I reached for him, whispered, "I love you." He looked at me, his voice quiet but unshakable. "I love you more than I've ever loved anyone," he said. "And that's why I have to go." Begged, pleaded, suggested therapy, a break, anything. But he had already made peace with the decision. He left the next morning. 10 months have passed. I still live in the same apartment, though it feels emptier than ever. I see Mason's name in magazines sometimes, tied to award-winning architectural designs. Once I passed him on the street. He was with a woman laughing at something she said. He didn't see me. Or maybe he did, and chose not to. I don't blame him. I'm in therapy now, trying to untangle the roots of what I did. Trying to understand the chaos inside me that sabotaged something so rare and good. I still love him. Probably always will. But loving someone isn't enough. Not if your actions betray that love. I hope Mason finds someone who chooses him every single day. Who never confuses desire with connection. Who never turns away when things get heavy. As for me, I'll keep working. Keep growing. And maybe one day, I'll become the person he once believed I already was.